My 9 a.m. alarm hasn't. Story today. Yeah. I don't need anything else making my legs and my knees hurt. Yeah.
The Quapaw Nation Business Committee regular meeting for Saturday, February the 21st, 2026 will now come to order at 9 a.m. George Vallier, would you please lead us in the invocation? Amen. Secretary Treasurer Vallier, would you please take roll call and declare quorum?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Chair Supernaw,
Present.
Vice Chair McKibben,
Present.
Secretary Treasurer Vallier, present. Member Mercer, Member Davis,
Present.
Member Buffalo,
Present.
Member Gibbs-Water.
Present.
Madam Chair, I declare quorum.
Would you please call for the orders of the day?
Madam Chair, I call for the orders of the day.
Business Committee, are there any corrections to the documents listed as part of the consent agenda? The consent agenda includes the January 17th, 2026 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports as submitted. Hearing no objection, we will take the vote. All those in favor of adopting and approving the January 17th, 2026 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports as distributed, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The January 17th, 2026 meeting minutes, the directors and subcommittee reports are adopted as distributed. We'll go on to the Business Committee report. Away, everybody. The following tribal members have passed away since we last met: Daryl Ray Dardine, Lupe Trulio Blanco, John Brooks Supernaw, Beverly Jean Capron, Kiera Bell-Wishen, Baby Bo Daniel Perry, baby of Caleb and Cassie Perry, Mary Jane Grant, and Carolyn Hodge. Please lift these Quapaw families and all families in your prayers, and let us join in a moment of silence. Gunagay. We'll go on to announcements. Member Mercer, would you please provide a Ray Property Homes O-gah-pah Tikida project update?
Yes, Madam Chair. As far as the development is, we have hydro-seeded and leveled out all the land now. It is complete with grading. We have 26 homes completed. Number 27 will be complete and released for occupancy by next Wednesday. Number 20, that's 27. Home 28, we will, once they release that one next Wednesday, they'll start installing cabinets, doors, and trim work on that one. House 29 and 30, which are the last two, they just completed sheetrock in those Friday, and they're ready to be mud taped and then move right on down. We hope and pray that everything goes smoothly and we will have all 30 homes completed by the end of next month.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please provide an update on subcommittee appointments and any vacancies?
Certainly, Madam Chair. We have a few appointments for this month. We have Emergency Financial Assistance. The following is being newly appointed to the Emergency Financial Assistance Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026. Kay Hannity. Does this BC concur with the new appointment to the Emergency Financial Assistance Committee?
Yes.
Enrollment Committee. The following is being newly appointed to the Enrollment Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026. Jackie Rollins. Does the BC concur with the new appointment to the Enrollment Committee?
Yes.
Events Committee. The following are being appointed, are newly appointed to the Events Committee with a term expiration date of December 2026. Carrie Sisson and Sherry Nida. Does the BC concur with the new appointments to the Events Committee?
Yes.
Congratulations to all the new subcommittee appointees. We thank you very much for your service to the Quapaw Nation.
Secretary Treasurer Valier, will you please provide the updated casino financial reports?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Quapaw Casino Financials, the Saracen Casino Financials for the month of January 2026, net gaming revenues of January 2026 of $17.4 million finished as the 8th best month for Saracen. Slots continue to lead the way with an increased coin-in of 12.4% over prior year. Sportsbook handle wagers finished greater than prior year with a 16.5% increase. Sportsbook hold was 10.5% compared to 10.6% in the prior year. Management remains confident in the ability to drive EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization as we move through fiscal year 2026. Despite the competitive disadvantage presented by the operating environments for Oaklawn and Southland. EBITDA for the month of January was $4.9 million, was down 6.9% or $363,781 compared to prior year EBITDA of $5.3 million. Compared to the budget, EBITDA for the month of $4.9 million finished greater than the budget of $4.6 million by 7.1% or $324,497. Downstream Casino Financials for the month of January 2026, EBITDA totaled $7.7 million with a margin of 44.5%. January results exceeded our monthly budgeted expectations. For January, we exceeded budgeted expectations by $80 million or 1%. For fiscal year 2026, we are currently exceeding budget by $1.5 million or 4.6%. The total revenue for January 2026 was $17.2 million. This net revenue does represent the increase from January of fiscal year 2026 budget of $0.3 million or 2.1%. Compared to January of 2025, total net revenue was an increase of $3 million or 21.1%. Net income of the month totaled $6.3 million with a margin of 36.8%. This represents a positive budget variance of $86,000. Net income compared to January 2025 showed a positive variance of $2.3 million. Quapaw Casino financials for December 2025 were received after the January Business Committee meeting and are as follows. For the month ending December 31, 2025, EBITDA totaled $273,000 with a margin of 14.3%. December's results missed our budgeted expectation by $78,000 and represents an increase of $163,000 from December of 2024. For fiscal year 2026, quarter one finished at 87.1% of budget. Net income for the month totals $356,000 with a margin of 18.7%. Net income exceeded our budgeted expectation by $31,000. Net income compared to December of 2024 had a positive variance of $117,000. Quapaw Casino financials for January of 2026 are not available yet and will be reported during the March of 2026 Business Committee meeting. Madam Chair, if I may, I would like to make a couple of comments about the opening yesterday and some things that went out there. We did the opening for Quapaw Casino. The grand opening was yesterday. It looked like it was very busy. It was very packed. There was a lot of people that were out there. One of the things that we did is we had some hot air balloons come out and fly over town and to be able to strum up some interest in the opening for the grand opening for the Quapaw Casino. I would like to dispel a rumor that was put out there very shortly afterwards. We had hot air balloon pilots come in as a favor to me. One of them even put a banner, a Quapaw Casino banner, on their balloon. That balloon does not belong to the Quapaw Nation. It does not belong to the Quapaw Casino. It was a banner. The only thing Quapaw Casino paid for with those balloon flights was they paid for the banners to be on the balloon. That was it. Quapaw Business Committee paid a nominal fee to the pilots to help them with their expenses for coming up to do that. This was a celebration that some friends of mine came up to help do. I paid out of my pocket for them to have rooms up at Downstream. There are some things that are out there that is very disheartening to me because we would not have purchased a hot air balloon just to do something like that. This business committee does not spend money frivolously like that. So please, if you did see that post out there and you have heard that, please understand that that is misinformation. And I would like to dispel it right now. I would like to also thank Department of Public Safety for all of their assistance. We were able to get flights off in the morning, and we were not able to do the tether rides like we wanted to. The winds were a little bit too squirrely, but we did get a couple of balloons stood up to glow. And I want to really thank all of the help that the Department of Public Safety with the fire and EMS guys and the marshals, and they all came out and they helped out a lot with that. I think we all ended up having a lot of fun with it, but it turned out really good. It brought a lot of other people off of the streets and the roads to be able to come into Quapaw Casino, and we're pretty proud of that. So thank you guys very much. All of your assistance was greatly appreciated. Ganagay.
Thank you. Vice Chair McKibben, would you provide an update on the new General Welfare Exclusion Act regulations?
Yes, ma'am. And also the Chamber of Commerce Awards Banquet on Thursday evening. Our Quapaw Counseling Services team was recognized as one of the top medium-sized businesses in the area. Our QCS team works very hard. They show up early and are there for their patients and clients. And if you see any member of the QCS team, just offer them some congratulations on all their hard work and being recognized as one of those medium-sized businesses of the year. So, George, I was glad to attend. Thank you for asking me. And again, we're proud of that QCS team for all their hard work. So thank you. And then on to the General Welfare Exclusion Act. The final regulations from the Department of Treasury came out on December 15th. We, the business committee, attended a webinar put on by Drummond Woodson and Chris Stevens, kind of clarifying and enlightening us more on the General Welfare Exclusion Act. And this excludes the value of any tribal general welfare benefit from a recipient's gross income for federal income tax purposes. And that was back in 2014 when that was established. This final regulations that was released on December 15th this act enables tribes to provide a variety of assistance to their citizens to support their well-being. The act contains two categories of requirements for tribal programs. The program is administered under specific guidelines and does not discriminate in favor of members of the governing body of the tribe, and the benefits provided under the program are available to any tribal member or other eligible individual who meets the guidelines. For the promotion of general welfare, not lavish and extravagant, and not for compensation of services. The TTAC, which is the Treasury Tribal Advisory Committee, this act established them to advise the Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Treasury on tribal tax matters, advise on the act's implementation, and consult with the Internal Revenue Service on the training of IRS field agents and tribal financial officers. The act suspends tribal general welfare audits and examinations until this training is complete. And the final regulations, again, on December 15th, the Department of Treasury and the IRS collectively issued these final regulations implementing this act. Based on substantial tribal and TTAC consultation, the final regulations reflect a historic incorporation of support for tribal sovereignty and self-determination in tax regulations. To review this feedback and how it was utilized, the tribal consultation and federal feedback summary provided key policy highlights. One of those is tribal deference. The final regulations incorporate deference to tribal governments' decision-making expressly into regulatory provisions. The Act's deference provision, the ambiguities should be resolved in favor of a tribe. It also incorporated into a standalone regulatory clause. Another highlight of that is expanded definition of eligible individuals. The final regulations incorporate respect for tribal law and broadly define tribal program participant. The category of individuals eligible to receive tribal general welfare benefits that are not subject to tax. This term includes a tribal member, their dependent, and their spouse under tribal or state law. It also covers a tribal member's ancestor, descendant, former spouse, widow, widower, legally recognized domestic partner or former domestic partner, or an individual for whom a tribal member is a caregiver authorized under tribal or state law. Use of any revenue. The final regulations provide that general welfare exclusion benefits under a tribe's program may be funded by any source of revenue or funds, including net gaming revenues. The deference to tribal classification of revenue. The final regulations defer to tribes in their classification of net gaming revenues as general welfare versus per capita payments. This includes recognition that a tribe may choose to modify a revenue allocation plan to provide general welfare benefits instead of per capita payments. Allowance of uniform payments and no need requirement. The final regulations recognize that tribes may use any revenue, including net gaming revenues, to provide eligible benefits, including uniform payments. The final regulations also do not impose a need requirement. General welfare includes grantor trusts. The final regulations confirm that a tribe may provide a general welfare benefit through a grantor's trust. A tribe may also choose to modify an existing IGRA trust to provide general welfare benefits. Economic development as tribal general welfare. The final regulations confirm that a tribe's program may provide benefits directly to a tribal program participant to support, develop, operate, expand, or start trades or businesses. And the next one is over Alaska Natives. It doesn't really apply to us. The next section is key regulatory flexibilities. Program establishment, recognition of tribal law. A program may be established by tribal custom, government practice, or formal action of the tribe under applicable law. Delegation, if permitted under tribal law, a tribe may delegate authority to establish a general welfare, a GWE, program to a designated individual or the tribe's entity. Writing is not required. If a tribe's law does not require formal applications to be in writing, a program does not need to be in writing to be established, but they encourage that for documentation purposes. Non-discrimination, in recognition that some tribes have a governing body that consists of the entire adult membership of the tribe, the final regulations clarify that their operation of a general welfare program is compliant with the statutory non-discrimination requirement. Benefit requirements. Promoting general welfare provides deference to tribes to determine at the time their program is established whether a benefit is for the promotion of general welfare. Lavish or extravagant. Recognition of tribal sovereignty. The final regulations recognize that each tribe is unique and applies a facts and circumstances test to evaluate whether a benefit is lavish or extravagant. This test includes a tribe's culture and cultural practices, history, geographic area, traditions, resources, and economic conditions or factors. Deference on attestations. The final regulations provide that the IRS will defer to a tribe's attestations of facts or circumstances, regardless of whether the program is in writing at the time the benefit is provided to the tribal program participant. Compliance presumption. A benefit will be presumed to not be lavish or extravagant if it is described in and provided in accordance with the written specified guidelines of a tribe's program. Benefits and compensation for services. The final regulations recognize that a tribe has sole discretion to determine whether an item is of cultural significance and whether an activity is a cultural or ceremonial activity, and that the IRS will defer to these determinations. This includes recognition that community service, job training, and prizes for participation in cultural activities may all constitute general welfare. Members of other tribes. The final regulations also provide that relating to cultural or ceremonial activities, the definition of tribal program participant includes citizens of other tribes and the individuals in the tribal program participant category affiliated with them. And then last is just some administrative highlights. Examples are illustrative and non-exhaustive. The final regulations provide that examples are illustrative and non-exhaustive. It also broadens existing examples and adds a new one on economic development to support tribes. Substantiation clarification. The final regulations do not limit the types of documentation a tribe can provide its recipients to substantiate a general welfare payment. The final regulations also confirm that individuals are not required to maintain personal receipts for benefits received. 1 year transition period and prior reliance. The final regulations generally are effective January 1, 2027, which provides tribes a 1 year transition period. Tribes are also permitted to apply the final regulations to prior taxable years. Prospective enforcement. The final regulations provide that the department agrees with the TTAC and tribal leaders that it would be counterproductive for IRS audit and examinations of issues under Section 139E and these final regulations to apply taxable years for which there was no guidance interpreting Section 139E. Maintenance of the audit and examination suspension. The final regulations confirm that the Act's audit suspension will not be lifted until after final regulations are issued and the Act's required training is completed in consultation with tribal governments and the TTAC. Inclusion of tribal program participants in audit suspension. The final regulations confirm that audit and examination suspension will apply to all tribal program participants. So, again, these are fairly new, came about in the middle of December 15th, and gives tribes a lot more freedom to give welfare exclusion, so that way more things are considered non-taxable. So we are working on these issues to get these welfare programs that we can hopefully add more social services in the future, and they will be tax-free. So that's our aim, to provide more benefits that are not taxable. So thank you. Thank you for your patience while I was going through that.
Thank you. Member Davis, would you provide an update on the Forestry Cooperative Agreement?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Hawaii. The U.S. Department of the Interior continues to take notable steps to streamline and strengthen its wildfire management capabilities. As you may recall, this is reflected in the recent signing of Secretarial Order 3443, elevating and unifying the Department of the Interior's Wildland Fire Management Program, and Executive Order 14308, empowering common sense wildfire prevention in response. The DOI is seeking more efficiency and effective uses of its resources, which include tribal perspectives and support through a cooperative agreement. The nation has submitted a cooperative agreement While we await feedback, I continue to work with the nation's forestry program and other resource management division staff members to begin development of standard operating procedures, fire fuel modules, etc. And as we move forward on this initiative, updates will continue to be provided. Gunna Gay.
Thank you. Regarding the partial federal government shutdown, we see limited impacts at the current time. However, we need to continue actively monitoring the situation as the federal government decides the best way to fund itself going forward. Regarding past events, as Secretary Treasurer Valier noted, the Quapaw Casino official grand opening was yesterday, and we were happy about that. The ceremony obviously included both media attendance as well as the hot air balloons. The new casino features a modern gaming floor with more than 450 slot machines, the new Legends restaurant, and a craft brewery. The facility was designed to enhance the overall guest experience while supporting the nation's long-term economic sustainability. I would request some level of patience. The staff, the employees of Quapaw Casino are still getting settled into the new facility, learning the flow of the various areas, both in front of house as well as back of house. So I'm sure they'll continue improving their level of service and hospitality. The Guardians of the Heart, sponsored by the Quapaw Nation's Fire EMS and the nation's marshals, Newton County Ambulance District, and Metro Emergency Transport Systems, they sponsored the Guardians Conference from February 17th to 19th at Downstream Casino earlier this week. And the conference brings together first responders, emergency managers, public safety professionals, vendors, and community leaders for a high-impact learning and networking experience. They had hands-on training, expert-led workshops, and a buzzing expo floor showcasing the latest gear and technology. I suggest you ask both Barry Lindiff as well as Johnny Rogers regarding some of the new technologies that have been rolled out for law enforcement. Quapaw Language started an 8-week online course open to learners of all knowledge levels every Tuesday during February and March. At the end of the 8 weeks, participants will have created a personal prayer in the Quapaw language. The Quapaw Nation Library is excited to announce the addition of 3 new Little Free libraries located throughout the city of Quapaw. Want a book? Take one. Have a book? Leave one. This Take a Book, Share a Book program is funded by a grant from Little Free Library and installed in the community by the Quapaw Nation Library. Each library also includes a blessing box stocked with non-perishable items for those in need. The first box is located near City Hall. The second is on the corner by the Elder Housing Complex. And the third is on the north corner of the Family Housing Addition, O-Gah-pah. We do have some upcoming events. The Remembrance Walk continues that marks the 200 years since our ancestors walked approximately 184 miles from Arkansas to Louisiana. To honor their journey, the Quapaw Historic Preservation Program invites you to walk with them in memory, in community, and in strength. They'll meet at 1 p.m. every Saturday, so that includes today at the community building to walk 2 miles together. Afterward, the group will return to the community building for discussion. Outside of Saturdays, everyone is encouraged to walk on their own or with friends, aiming to reach a total of 184 miles by March 1. They walked, we remember. Contact the Quapaw Historic Preservation Department to receive a packet and sign up. Today, February the 21st, the Downstream Development Authority and Quapaw Casino Authority annual meeting is scheduled. That will start at 1:30 p.m. this afternoon in the Victor Griffin Conference Room at Downstream, and the meeting is open to all tribal members. Food distribution. The Quapaw Food Sovereignty Department and Cattle Company are hosting another food distribution. Sign-ups open at the very beginning of this month and will expire February the 27th at 4 p.m. Each household will receive a package that includes 20 pounds of beef. Distribution will take place the week of March 9th through 14th. And the program is available only to Quapaw tribal members and is limited to the head of household. The sign-up form is available on the Quapaw Nation website. You must bring a valid, non-expired tribal ID to pick up. Please see the flyer for additional details. The Quapaw Nation Higher Education Department has released its yearly class schedule with workshops held on Wednesdays each month, excluding the months of July and December. January's workshop series focused on financial aid and scholarship opportunities for high school, undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate students. Scheduled in February is the Education Opportunities Workshop for service members and veterans. The first one was held on March the 4th, with an additional session scheduled for February the 25th. In March, they'll be hosting a Wellness, Advocacy, and Life Skills series. All these workshops take place here in the community building from 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. Those interested in attending are encouraged to register by contacting the Education Department. Additional information is available online. All workshops are free and open to the public. A complete schedule is available on the Nation's website under the Education page and Events calendar. Registration is required, and all registered participants, both in person and virtual, will be entered into a drawing for a gift card. The Quapaw Nation Child Care Development Fund Department cordially invites all of you to join their celebration of opening their new office, which now includes a parent resource room, regalia closet, and child care provider resource room. The open house will be at their new offices located at 101 South Main Street in Miami from noon to 8 p.m. on February the 24th. So that's February the 24th at 101 South Main Street in Miami. The Family Services Youth Connections Department held a concho belt making class on February the 7th, and then they'll be having a 2-day class February the 28th and March 1st from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. on making stomp dance cans, which is at full capacity. These opportunities are made possible by our Youth Connections program and are generously supported through a federal SAMHSA grant. The Quapaw Nation Museum is sponsoring a first aid and CPR training course on March the 10th at 1 p.m. The class is limited to 20 students and will be available to anyone interested. Once participants complete the course, they'll receive a certificate. You could be a lifesaver for your loved ones. Please contact the museum for more information. The Quapaw Nation Powwow Committee hosted a gourd dance and a hand game on February 14th at the Miami Council House, where attendees enjoyed traditional gourd dancing, a hand game, and a shared dinner. Looking ahead, the committee will host a co-ed 3-on-3 basketball tournament on March the 7th at the Fitness Center. The entry fee is $45 per team, with registration open at 8 a.m. and games beginning at 9 a.m. On May the 31st, the committee will also host a 4-man scramble golf tournament at Eagle Creek Golf Course. The team entry fee is $300, with registration starting at 8 a.m. and tee-off set for 9 a.m. For additional details, please refer to the event flyers or visit the Nation's website. The third annual open house for the Tar Creek Superfund site Healthy Communities event will be held on March the 5th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Miami Civic Center. Federal, state, and our tribal agency will share community health and safety resources, and the Tar Creek team will share site updates. Everyone is encouraged to bring their questions. They'll have free sign-ups for residential yard testing, free lead testing for kids 15 and under, and you can bring any household item and get it tested for lead on the spot. A draft of the Quapaw Nation Stanford Constitution was recently mailed to all tribal households in the Quapaw Post. The Constitution Committee encourages all tribal members to review the draft and submit any questions or comments for consideration. Tribal members are also invited to attend the committee's weekly meetings, typically held virtually every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Additional information about attending these meetings and reviewing ongoing revisions is available on the tribe website. In addition to the weekly meetings, a special general council meeting has been scheduled for March the 21st at the Quapaw Community Building, right here, beginning immediately after the regularly scheduled business committee meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to formally present the Constitution draft and receive recommendations from the Indian Council General Council regarding how the Constitution Committee should proceed. All enrolled tribal members age 18 and older, as well as Quapaw by blood voters, are strongly encouraged to attend. We hope to see you there. Meeting materials will also be posted on the tribal website and social media channels. The Quapaw Nation Spring Gathering is scheduled for March the 28th. So there's a powwow scheduled for March the 28th and will be sponsored by the Events Committee, Fitness Center, CCDF, Quapaw Historic Preservation Program, Quapaw Cattle Company, Youth Connections, Family Services, Higher Education, the Supernaw Family, and the Grounds Committee. The day will begin with a 5K and 1 mile fun run at the Fitness Center, followed by an Easter egg hunt and inflatables for the children. Later in the afternoon at Beaver Springs Park, there will be a community meal, crafts, a fashion show, a foot race, cornhole, and a youth powwow. Gourd dancing will begin at 3 p.m. with grand entry at 7 p.m., followed by a variety of dances, ending with a stomp dance. Campgrounds will open from Friday evening through Sunday afternoon. Room blocks have also been arranged at Downstream and are available to Quapaw citizens. Please see the flyer or visit the website for additional details. Here's an announcement. If you're a Quapaw tribal student who graduated or will graduate between July 1st, 2025 and June 30th, 2026, the Quapaw Nation Higher Education Department wants to hear from you. Please email your name, mailing address, and high school, college, tech school to education.department@quapawnation.com. The nation continues to grow and thrive with many exciting events and opportunities ahead. From cultural gatherings to educational programs and community services, there's something for everyone to participate in and support. To stay informed about all the latest events, programs, and announcements, we encourage everyone to visit the tribal website for additional details, or you can visit O-Guah-Pah-communications.com and click on Notify Me to sign up for alerts by text, email, or phone call. And I'm proud to report it actually works. This concludes the Business Committee report. Gonna go. Let's go on to the subcommittee reports. O-Guah-Pah Wisdom Keepers, can we get a microphone to Miss Grace?
Gonna the elders are going to be going on a trip March the 5th. This will take the place of our regularly scheduled meeting. There are some forms to be filled out before the trip. So if you do need help on filling out those forms, do let us know so we can help you complete that work. The end of March, we will be having communications team with us to help us to learn more about the technology, about not only our computers, how to access information online so that we will know what's going on, and also working with our smartphones and this kind of thing as technology. Our elders really do need to be in on that. And so again, our communications team has been very good about helping us out on that. So our next meeting then will be in April. Again, we're going on a trip coming up soon. Communications will be updating us on communications. And so with that, gonna go.
Thank you so much, Grace. Cultural Committee, I know that Barbara was not going to be able to be here today, and neither is Everett due to illness. So is there anybody else who wants to speak to anything on the Culture Committee? Sean? Don't mean to put you on the spot.
Hello. I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Sean.
And I'll go ahead and speak for the Powwow Committee too at this time. Just like to thank everybody that came out to our gourd dance and hand game. We had a really good time and had a good crowd all day long. And we do have a couple events coming up. The basketball tournament on the 7th. Then we have the golf tournament, as you mentioned a while ago, and we have a cornhole tournament set in April, and April 17th up at Baxter at Bricks and Brews. So we got a few more things going on, but just our powwow flyer is complete and it will be out this next week. We'll have it at the museum out here at the admin building, and we'll get the itinerary in a few more weeks, and everything is rolling along pretty smooth. So just can't wait till July. So not yet, not yet. No, ain't nobody exhausted. But thank you all.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Can we unmute Vance Gilmore, Constitution Committee?
Can you hear me, Chairman Supino?
Vance, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
All right, can you hear me?
It's very faint.
Is that better?
That's wonderful, Vance. Thank you.
Chairman Supino, before I begin, I believe Barbara Collier was trying to get on.
Oh, my apologies. Can we go ahead and unmute Barbara? If Barbara raises her hand, can you see which connection she has? Barbara,
I
can you?
shall try. I'll go ahead and keep an eye and see, or if she comes in, I'll let you know again, okay?
Thank you, Vance.
Good morning, Chairman Supino, and good morning, Business Committee members. The Constitution Committee will wrap up our review of the draft this Tuesday, February the 24th. We've had some nice participation on our Tuesday meetings that start at 6:30. This past week, in addition to the committee, I believe we had over 10 tribal members on, giving us their feedback, which is our goal right now, is to gather as much feedback as possible. As we've gone through the review, we have identified what we feel are some errors in the Constitution draft, and we are creating a database of questions that we will then take back to Professor Reese and get her opinion on our questions and what we believe we have identified as errors. One error relates to strictly a mathematical issue in terms of terms and the number of individuals that serve on the Business Committee and how that would proceed out with a new constitution. There continues to be a good deal of feedback regarding the super statutes. Some people are confused by the super statutes and others are giving positive feedback. So it's just a very mixed view on the super statutes. So what I would encourage is feedback. Please give us your feedback, what you feel about the super statutes, how you feel they work. Are they confusing? Do you like them? Just general information like that. On March 21st, which you mentioned, Chairman Supino, we will have a special Indian Council, General Council, and we are looking forward to that meeting. Regarding back to creating the database of questions, we have scheduled a meeting with Professor Elizabeth Reese from Stanford on March 17th. That will be at our weekly Tuesday meeting at 6:30. All tribal members are encouraged to attend and listen to the questions that have been created and Professor Reese's response. And we hope in turn that will again generate more feedback from our tribal members. So thank you.
Vance, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any luck in unmuting Barbara Collier's line? Barbara, are you able to raise your hand on Zoom so we can isolate which connection you're through? Let's keep going, and then we'll come back and loop back to Barbara. Any updates from the election committee? Frank Frazier. Good morning. No?
Is it?
Now it's working.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm filling in for Lori this morning. Basically, she announced last month we had found a date for our annual election. A little more information about that. Sometime later next month, we will be mailing out the postcards announcing the positions that will be open for this annual election. We will have 3 positions open: chair, secretary, treasurer, and a member. So that's something to be thinking about. And we're just plugging along, having meetings. We'll be meeting with the Constitution Committee before the 21st, have a visit with them, and get some input from them. They want some input from us, which we're glad to help them out. Other than that, we're looking forward to another good election cycle. I want to thank everybody. Be thinking about voting. We have right at 1,800 voters, registered voters now, but we still only have like participation, 400 or 500 people actually vote. A majority of them are absentee votes. Usually when the chair has up for election, we have a bigger turnout. Last year, I think we had a little over between 400 and 500 total votes. So this year we're looking for a real good turnout. That's all I have this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Cybersecurity Planning Committee, Mikhail.
Yes, we still have the 2 vacancies we still need filled, as a reminder. But also, I have started the process of starting to replace our current guest accounts with user accounts. As I create them, I'm sending them to their existing emails, so they'll have notifications, but we still need to get the form signed from all the current employees and users. And pretty much starting this month, we are not enabling accounts until we get that signed paper.
Thank you, Mikhail. And does that apply to all of the individuals who are serving on subcommittees as well as standing committees?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on the scope of who needs to submit this form. And is the form available on the website, or you'll be providing it to them? through their
I'll be
personal
providing
accounts?
it to them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate. Any luck in unmuting Barbara? No? Who? Any other subcommittees? All right, let's go ahead and go on to the executive director reports. Remember, those reports are targeted to the business committee. And if others in attendance this morning have questions regarding their reports, please pose those questions during open forum. The executive director reports were posted to the tribal website earlier this week, and we'll now hear brief summaries from each of the executive directors. Eric Boone, CFO.
Good morning.
Morning.
January marked a third of the way through our fiscal year. In January, our general fund received $3 million in revenue, bringing our total to $14.5 million. Operating expenses in January were $3 million. Total expenses in January was $10 million, bringing our total for the year to $19.6 million. The tribal member health benefit, January expenses, $626,000, bringing our total for the year to $2 million. Other highlights, our tag department, busy month in January, 237 renewals and new registrations. And our tax revenue in January was $202,000. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Trent Stand, Executive Director, Resource Management.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, as we know, I won't be as fast as that, but I'll try. That was pretty quick. We'll start with realty this morning. We got some good news. I know I had some meetings with a couple of business committee members that I told yesterday, but the Penn Welch, the Penn Gaming property is what it was formerly. The Penn Welch property is what we called it on the Feed of Trust application in Kansas. That had been at IBIA for quite some time. It had been in appeals with the state of Kansas since roughly 2018. And we just got the IBIA ruling. We don't even have it on paper yet, but the BIA contacted us yesterday that IBIA ruled in our favor, so that Feed of Trust will be approved. So that's been hanging out there. It was originally approved on October 29th, 2018. Then the state of Kansas started their appeals. So that's a pretty big win for the realty team. And I think later on the resolutions, they've got the former Ibsen property. It's 168 acres that they had to correct or update some regulatory authority on those, which is why the resolution needed to be reapproved or amended. And the former Compton is 281 acres. That's the same thing. So that's what's on their side, and that's some good news on the realty team. So there was they also had 2 chat sales approved recently. One was in the month of January, one was just this past week. So you'll probably see it on next month's report too. But we did just receive word from the BIA that the second chat sale was approved. It wasn't the second one for that site, but environmental continues with all of their activities, which are I could spend my whole morning talking on their involvement. But I know this month, if they haven't already, they're starting the recycling opportunities for elder housing. So I will be, and I know Tammy is too, grateful for any feedback on that as that grows and hopefully becomes a real good thing for everybody. Water sample continues for them. They got 5 active sites right now. They kicked off the QSA's new site. It's a state site that's I call it the old asphalt plant, but it's on state line. Hemp Hill, I think, is the property owner. It's just about 3 miles west of Carnes Pro Tire. So that's up and going. They submitted a Department of Energy grant in January, mid-January. That's the one that's, if funded, would basically set up a pilot program for critical minerals, concentrating those and shipping them out. So we're anxious to hear back on that. Let's see, you covered some of that. They submitted the Clean Air Act Section 105 final report for fiscal year 21 through 25, and just couldn't say enough about it. I mean, they got great reports from EPA on that. So the environmental team, they updated some things on their documents going forward, but they received rave reviews in their submittal of that. I've already covered that. So the agriculture side, Mitch is helping realty. As you guys are aware, we have a little bit of a gap in the realty office is audited. It used to be through OST, which was separated out from BIA. So they don't really know how the Bureau works. So there's always a hole when they audit, of course, auditors want to find something. So there's something with the realty office is always, you don't have an approved agriculture resource management monitoring plan. So here's the ding for you. Even though the Bureau has always allowed, and what they used prior to us even taking over realty was a farm management plan approved through the local NRCS department. So the NRCS department was approving site-specific plans, and realty keeps getting a ding on the audit for not having a vast overall plan. And that was always my argument as the past realty director was, we have a more specific plan and we're getting dinged for not having a broad overarching plan that meets the same requirements. So we're basically done fighting with them. And Mitch has been helping with drafting, starting a draft one of those through Stacia. Stacia's contacts with other tribes, so I appreciate both of them for that. Cattle companies, as everybody I'm sure is aware at this point, because I know people at the store always knew more than I did. It seemed like on some of it, we closed on the Maury property. Mitch's team spent a lot of time down there getting stuff picked up, trying to iron out, getting things cleaned up, how things are working. That ultimately came along with over 300 head of customer cattle that they got the owner down here to look at and have been taken care of, and that, you know, it's good for Mitch's side, but it's also something that, you know, wasn't necessarily managed to their liking. So they're spending a lot of time there trying to make sure that the customer cattle are taken care of and in better shape when they leave than when we received them. And he's working on, there's potentially a large buffalo deal coming. Hasn't really heard much. We just know there's over 1,500 buffalo that are going to be direct slaughter animals, and they don't really have a place for them. So Mitch, through his contacts, trying to work out the logistics and working with Wade and figuring out how that could all work, possibly for us here, but being that they're direct slaughter, we have to have some place to go with them. And that's a lot of product that potentially the logistics could be problematic. But so from that side, I'll advance on a little bit to the processing plant. We have Wade's been having quite a few meetings with potential new clients, and hopefully through this last week lined out some ongoing issues with one large scale provider. We're hopeful that we, through these last discussions, lined out some issues we were having, but along that side of meat production, we did just one of the resolutions today is noted transformer for the processing plant, and that's basically to give us enough energy at the plant. It's going to upscale that so that we can get the blast freezer hooked up to expedite product leaving the facility. Because right now, I know you guys are aware, just for explanation purposes, we have so much product that comes into the freezers, and how they're put in boxes or stacked. It's taking a lot of manpower and hours to get those to freeze, because they're not going in a blast freezer. They're going in a very cold freezer, but it's taking time, longer time than a blast freezer takes 14 hours to do a full load in a 40-foot blast freezer, which allows us to get product off the property quicker, invoice quicker, and not have to hold so much. And because it's like everything else, busting at the seam for storage, and that's storage of freezer space as well. So I'm hoping to hear back the first of this week on the estimated time of arrival of the blast freezer. They was pouring the concrete last week out at the plant for the blast freezer. Hopefully with everything today, we'll get everything lined up to all hit at the same time, be able to get that taken care of. So the QSA side, like I said, they've, as I believe probably all of you have seen, if you drive to Baxter, they've really changed kind of the landscape out there. And that's been, I haven't heard anything negative about that, so, which is always a good thing. But they kicked off, like I said, the one new project. But from that side, just how quickly QSA and Ed's team knocked out projects through 2025. That was kind of the quickest they've moved through stuff, which kind of put EPA and ODEQ a little bit behind on funding projects. So we're a little light on the workload that's approved right now. Through April and May, we look to have at least one other site approved. Recently, they've released some additional generic haul funding and the asphalt plant that I mentioned earlier. But we're hoping that April, May, like I said, they release on the EPA side a big restricted property remediation. But in the interim, Ed's been keeping the team busy with, right now, if people have seen, I know I passed him Friday coming through Miami, is he sent some workers down to, or some trucks down to Adair. There's a large solar plant going in there, so they're hauling some soil to keep those trucks busy, to increase some revenue, so we're not pounding these sites faster than the money's funding it. So that just trying to, he's doing a good job at managing that, and he's looking at bidding some other outside sites, and this next week possibly one in Oswego being submitted for, I believe it's a lagoon up there. So they're doing all they can to, like I said, keep things moving smoothly. Let's see. Oh, and they also give a shout out to Ed and Jerry for that work down there at the daycare. That was good. Team, like to see that departments working together. They and I know it was covered some last meeting, but Ed wanted to mention that he was going to be, because we hadn't had any rain, and cleaning up the borrow pit down at the housing. Didn't really have elevations and designs and things to go off of for that borrow area. So he said he would make sure that he monitors that for drainage and everything flows the way it needs to. And if not, he'd get out there and get that taken care of. But so, let's see, forestry, appreciate, Linda, all your help in moving along with the cooperative agreement meetings. They also have been awarded funding for a portable milling infrastructure proposal that was submitted to the BIA, which will help get a wood chipper, which will help us across multiple departments. It wasn't the large one that we were hoping to be able to get, but it is a wood chipper in itself. So right now we've been relying on electric companies, tree trimming services, to provide us material for composting purposes. And we're looking to, on that side of things, looking to have an environmental position posted this next week that is partly encompassing that. So that was some steps through Tammy's office to help multiple departments with the need that we have as a tribe. So that's great news. Forestry also assisted GRDA with some prescribed burns this past month, and right now that's been kind of scary across the state, but they've also assisted fire and EMS with some equipment as they're on standby for some calls. Fire out western Oklahoma, as I understand it. So that's pretty much all from them. Food sovereignty, they gearing up for springtime. They've planted hundreds of plants this past month, along with getting everything kind of prepped for the growing season. The gas line's finally been ran to the greenhouse. They're coordinating coordinating some electrical work that they're hoping is going to be done first part of March, which will be able to tie then everything in. They've received some grant money to start some additional little greenhouse seed starter buildings that are a little smaller, hoop houses. So they're moving quickly in that front. Also, the pavilions on that property, Ed's been working with Henry Hart Jr. One of them, both of them. He's been communicating with and staying on top. He's wanted to, and I let Michelle know that he's on them every day, trying to get that lined out. Through last week was getting in touch, so hopefully there's a game plan that I can get an update on beginning of next week on when wheels are going to be moving. So that'll be good news and an eyesore out of there. Let's see. Conservation, there's a little bit of update from the report since that time. Buddy let me know that of the 9 remaining samples for CWD that was sent in, all of those have been received back. So on the year, we had 46 samples that were submitted to the lab at K-State. 45 of those were negative. 1 was inconclusive. So not on the positive side or the negative side, but that was good news. Good news. We are waiting right now on some legal clarification on the Fish and Wildlife Code. Through where we were at the finish line, we felt like, but through discussions with Brendan and Eric Giles and Buddy and myself, we didn't really want to inadvertently give up any sort of treaty right through too much framing our Fish and Wildlife Code too much like the state of Oklahoma. And so there were some questions that was posed to legal for tribal members within the reservation boundary. And basically we walked through as we were getting closer to trying to figure out implementation of each type of land status scenario. And the fee simple property was problematic in the answer, I guess, at that time, within the reservation boundaries. So they were getting some clarification on that. So as soon as we get that portion ironed out, that'll all be provided over to you guys as quickly as possible, with some options and a few questions for you guys to review, and hopefully March, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That's all I got for today.
Trenton, thank you. Appreciate it. Good update. Jerry Helms, Executive Director, Quapaw Facilities Authority, is unfortunately ill today. So, I'm sorry? Okay. I just want to announce that Jerry will not be providing an update this morning. Her report is absolutely available on the tribal website. And let's go to Barbara Collier, Culture Committee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Cultural Committee, of course, you gave the biggest announcement about the gathering, spring gathering, so I appreciate that. We did meet with all of the departments that are going to be involved, and we appreciate all of their help and their volunteerism to do that. I've had several inquiries about vendors coming with arts and crafts type things, and the APEC is going to take care of the concession stands throughout the day and in the evening. So I think everything's covered there. We're looking forward to it, and we wanting to move forward with some of the other activities we have online, which will include some dress and possibly some assistance for the closet for the children to have for wearing apparel. And let's see what else. Well, our next meeting, I think, is March the 13th at 1 at the classroom and museum classroom. Also, Everett has he's on Zoom too, getting ready to give you a report if you need him to be. And the women's group, the Quapaw women, is scheduled. The next meeting for them is scheduled for March the 12th at 5:30 at the classroom at the museum, and come for dinner and enjoyment. And we will learn more about the plans for the powwow. I think Lana's going to be our speaker. Also, speaking of powwow items, we did discuss that at our meeting. The crowns have all been made and are being contracted to be made in the future. And we do have two that I think every princess that was to have one has now received theirs. And we have two that are on supply for the powwow this year. And then the shawl is going to be made by Carolyn Knott, and she's working on that, as I understand it. And Lana is taking care of getting the banners for the new princesses for this coming year. So I think everything's under control.
Barbara, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Sorry for all the difficulty on unmuting.
Oh, that's okay. I guess they didn't know who I was. It's all right. Have a good day.
Thank you. We'll go back to the Executive Director report. Steve Estand, Executive Director of Tribal Member Services.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm going to start off first with, I fight this every time I get up here, with our Family Services team, who put on a presentation for Teen Dating Awareness Month, and they presented it at Quapaw, Commerce, Afton, and Fairland schools. And I received positive feedback from some of our Quapaw students, so I think they got information out of it, and it was a really good outcome. The Family Services tiny homes remain at full capacity still, and a support group meeting was held for the clients in the month of January. The housing department currently have 25 Eller units being occupied, and the last one is being remodeled and should be available next week. So my report stated that 22 rental homes at the Tikita Housing Addition were occupied, but since the information was submitted, the number has increased to 25. So we have 25 now being occupied there. We are still working with the procurement department to get quotes for the sidewalks at the elders units that don't have them. We've had to reach back out so that we could get the quotes in 3 phases, because they were dividing the total cost by 3 instead of doing specific costs for each phase. And due to funding constraints, we're going to have to do it in phases if we get them back, and we can afford to do that through the NAHASDA grant. So the OLC STARS visits have been scheduled for February, and they were the 17th, which they've already had that one, and the 25th, to continue to prepare for accreditation, in which OLC applied for in January. So they're moving along with that. There was a professional development day that was held on February 16th, which included an active shooter training, and both OLC and DLC staff all combined and did that together. So OLC currently has 87 children and DLC currently has 84. The Title VI department served a traditional lunch in January and they fed 213. And they always hold, we want to get the word out that their birthday celebration and bingo is always the last Friday of the month. So at 12:30. So please pass that along for everybody to come to that. The enrollment department currently has 6,248 enrolled members listed, which decreased by 4 last month, and 1,799 registered voters, which decreased by 1 last month. As Frank stated, the annual election process is about to begin, and registered voters should start receiving their mail-outs soon. For any of those that are 18 and older who would like to register to vote, we want them to please reach out to the enrollment department for assistance or visit the Quapaw Nation website under the enrollment tab. The fitness center's Commit to Fit weight loss challenge continues and will end on March 13th. All participants must show up between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. that day to be weighed and to receive their participation t-shirts. Winners will be announced on the following Monday. There is currently a mat Pilates going on today at 11:30 at the fitness center. And the fitness center is hosting the 5K, which Madam Chair mentioned, and a 1-mile fun run on March 28th during the spring gathering. Registration is at 7:30 a.m. My mouth's allergy medicine's working. My mouth's dry. And the race begins at 8 a.m. at the Quapaw Power Grounds. There will also be the Powwow Fundraiser 3-on-3 basketball tournament at the fitness center on March 7th. Registration begins at 8 and the games start at 9. And the fitness center will provide a concession stand at that event. Social Services processed 1,276 applications in January, which was an increase of 546 applications, and that's due to the start of the new funding year. And it totaled $463,923.03 that was paid out. The EFA program has assisted 165 applicants from October 1st through January 14th, totaling $76,916.74. The remaining balance of $28,083.26 is available on a first come, first served basis, subject to funding availability. And that's the way it's always been, and it's in the policy. Currently, that means we're almost 75% of the FY26 EFA budget has been spent, and we're only a little over a third of the way through the fiscal year. So we're really, that's putting, that's going to come because we're going to run out of funding soon if we're keeping on track, but it has slowed down. And it usually does because of October being, it's kind of like utilities. It's in October, it's really pretty heavy, but we're still have already used 75% of the funding. So I just want everyone to be aware of that. And that's my report for today.
Thank you,
Didn't end it
Stephen.
on a positive note, but I just wanted to make everybody aware of that.
Appreciate it. George Val, your Executive Director, Department of Public Safety.
Good morning.
Morning.
Fire and EMS had 242 medical calls last month, 12 fire calls. They did several walkthroughs of the new casino to begin their pre-fire planning before the opening. Emergency management monthly warning siren tests were conducted successfully last month. They also assisted Commerce in response to a water system issue. The fire marshal worked with the fire department in conducting pre-occupancy inspections of the new casino and getting ready for the opening there. Fire marshal also conducted and assisted with a couple of fire investigations last month. Mobile Integrated Health had 46 home visits, 15 transports, 9 emergency responses, and 3 school responses. They also had a health screening at Title VI. The 911 center had 1,277 emergency calls. They had 6,818 non-emergency calls. Quapaw Counseling Services took care of 241 patients this last month. Quapaw Nation Marshals had 526 calls per service with 18 arrests. We continue to have 1 deployed to Montana to assist Bureau of Indian Affairs up there. The court system heard 59 cases last month. In addition to that, they had 2 Supreme Court cases. Probation last month had 34 active cases. Juvenile Affairs had 10 active cases, and Indian Child Welfare had 55 total cases. Thank you.
George, I did want to commend the fire department for their assistance day before yesterday down in White Oak. Really appreciate it, and I know the Shawnees do too. So
You bet. Thank you.
from the time the call was made to the time they got all the way to White Oak was 41 minutes. It's pretty impressive. Thank you.
I understand that was getting out of hand when they got down there. So yeah, thank you. I'll pass that on.
Also, George, just quickly, we've had, 3 wakes back to back to back, and we had a situation, and I just want to thank the 2 gentlemen that came out and inspected the ceiling. Well, they had to remove the ceiling tiles in the kitchen, and anyhow, they cleared it to where we continue to have the wake here, not have to relocate. So it's much appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Everett Bandy, Executive Director, Culture. Can we please unmute Everett?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Everett.
Good morning. I feel a little strange. Usually I'm walking up to the podium and trying to shift the mic up as high as we'll go. But good morning. I'm going to provide an oral summary on the Culture Division for the month of January. As always, you're also welcome to visit the website to see the full report. Although January brought colder weather and slightly lower visitation following our strong holiday season, our staff remained active across all departments. Much of this month focused on preparation, training, and strengthening long-term initiatives. For the museum and gift shop, we worked on exhibit transitions and improvements to our display spaces. We are also preparing to update the special exhibit area and are working on getting a new case ready. Gift shop sales for January were just over $1,400. We also expanded inventory by adding new beading supply items and other items requested by customers. In addition, we are preparing for a CPR and AED class. The flyer for that has since been released, and the event will take place on March 10th. In the language department, we finalized preparation for our 8-week virtual language course, which has began in February. 17 students had enrolled by the time of the report. This course is especially important for us because it is the first time using our new interactive online language learning platform. This allows for more engagement and easier access for tribal members who live outside of the area and cannot attend classes in person. It allows us to do some curriculum on the computer that they can participate in. The department also continued updating quapawlanguage.org and expanding the online dictionary. The language department also continued to visit the O-Guah-Pah Learning Center on a regular basis. In the library, we welcomed 45 in-person visitors during the month of January, and story time was held 3 times at the Learning Center. Beginning in February, our Tuesday extended library hours began to improve access for families and employees. The library also submitted a grant to the American Library Association for a project titled Voices from the Past to support preservation and storytelling efforts. The Quapaw Historic Preservation Program processed 165 project reviews in January. 2 agreement documents, which have been in progress for some time, were also submitted for leadership review and approval. This included a memorandum of agreement with the University of Oklahoma for the Doris Duke collection. This is because they have several transcribed interviews from various tribes across Oklahoma, which have been available online for many years, but they were taken down to digitize them and review the transcriptions. Our Historic Preservation Office reviewed the interviews and upon completion recommended them for being placed back online, with one exception. The one exception was an interview with an individual who was Seneca and Quapaw, and the interview was discussing Seneca matters. So we recommended deferral to them for that interview specifically. The other agreement document which was provided is the Merrimack Programmatic Agreement. This is for a riparian area cleanup that will help build habitat for aquatic species. The project is located in the Boot Hill of Missouri, and the PEA documents how they will ensure cultural resources are considered during the project. The Historic Preservation Program also continued weekly remembrance walks honoring the 1826 removal throughout the month. Participation has remained steady. Our staff also completed 2 professional trainings during the month, one regarding archaeology and one regarding cemetery geophysics to strengthen their technical capacity. Looking ahead, our remembrance walks will continue through early March. Our online language classes will continue each Tuesday. The CPR and AED training will be on March 10th, and our division will also have Tribal Employee Section 106 training and participate in some public events in Arkansas later this spring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Everett. Appreciate it. Barry Linda, Executive Director, O-Guah-Pah Communications.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Trent, do we still have that dollar bet on who's going to go longer? Is that still a thing? No, just kidding. No, it's been an incredible ride the last month, last week, going into everything. Everything kind of seemed to bottleneck, specifically this week. But a lot of great things going on in Quapaw Nation, whether it be the marshals work, first responders work with the Guardians event. We covered that event. It was really a wonderful event to get to check out some of the newest, latest technology. And to what Chairman Supernaw mentioned, there was a little bit of a consumer product test, I guess, on some taser gloves that we tried out. That content's available in the Quapaw Post. I tried it out, didn't like it. John gave me such a hard time that I made him try it. I think he shaved actually, but it actually made his hair grow back on there. But the Guardians do a wonderful event, and to speak to what Secretary Treasurer Valier had to say about the balloons, that was a really cool marketing concept. Because at the end of the day, it's all about impressions or eyeballs on the opening, and I think we got a lot of impressions for a nominal cost on that. They don't really talk to you about the landings, though. Maybe they need to work on that a little more. But yeah, that's okay. On top of all that, we kicked out a record 70 pages Quapaw Post. If anybody hasn't got that, let us know. We want to make sure that's in your mailbox and you guys are getting those. It's available online. It was a very quick turnaround. We're already working on layouts for the next ones because it's scheduled to come out probably right around the time, late April, 1st of May with graduation. So I say that to say this, keep in mind those graduates, please send that information to us at O-Guah-Pah-communication.com. And then really it's just a laundry list of things to cover, website, development, maintenance, court document management, everything else. I want to mention, put it on the calendars. Jose Miguel will be joining us at the end of March for training for technology. We get a lot of questions. The Zoom stuff is an example of it. We want to figure out ways to make it easier for everybody to communicate with us and learn. And the technology is changing. We have to wrap our minds around it sometimes, so we want to make it as easy for you all to understand and interact with us and get that out there as much as humanly possible. So that'll be the end of March, probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday training on that. consider everything you want to ask about the internet, but was afraid to ask. We're going to start from the basics, Apple, Android systems, those type of things, and then diving into the website. And then to what Frank mentioned, we're really going to be pushing into the Native Vote Matters. Like he said, it's important for everybody to get registered to vote, in every election, state, local, and federal. Looking ahead, I remember when January, February used to be the slow types of months. Now we just keep rocking and rolling. But we love hearing your feedback. We want to know what you guys want to hear about. So let us know. O-Guah-Pah-communications.com. Thank you.
Barry, thank you. That concludes the executive director reports. We'll go on to the electronic polls. Member Mercer, would you please take the first two?
Yes, Madam Chair. First poll is number 49062. I'm sorry, 49039. And it is an address change for Oklahoma Alcohol Beverage Law Enforcement Commission. This poll is for the approval to authorize the submission of an address change for the Quapaw Casino Authority to the Oklahoma Alcohol Beverage Laws Enforcement Commission. This was sent to a poll because this needs to be approved as soon as possible due to a notice that must run in the newspapers before a change of address can be processed. It was an approval unanimously. It was certified on 1/19/26 at 11:06 a.m. The second poll is to amend Resolution 062625-E on the purchase of restricted land. This poll is to approve amending Resolution 062625-E, the purchase of restricted interest in land for updating the fair market value. This was sent to a poll because the BIA was emphasizing the need to close out open cases because of the possibility of upcoming regulatory changes. It was approved by 7-0. It was certified on 1/22/26 at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Member Buffalo, would you take 68 and 78?
Yes, ma'am. Poll number 49068. Name of poll, purchase request, Quapaw Casino IT equipment, requested by Wayne Supino. This poll is approving the purchase of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Aruba networking switches for the Quapaw Casino Information Technology Department. This went to a poll to meet the price quote specifics. It was approved by a vote 7-0, certified on 1/26/2026 at 12:55. Poll number 49078, purchase request, Marshals, 8 patrol vehicles, requested by Wayne Supino. This poll is for approving the Marshal Service to purchase 8 patrol vehicles, 6 2026 Chevrolet Tahoes, and 2 2026 Trail Boss pickups. The department wants to replace vehicles with the most miles and or wear before any major mechanical function occur. Regular fleet replacements needed to ensure adequate patrol coverage and call response time. This was sent to a poll to keep these from being sold out from under us. It was approved by a vote of 7-0 and certified on 1/27/26 at 11:10 a.m.
Vice Chairman Kibben, would you take 88 and 971?
Yes, ma'am. Poll number 49088 is the purchase request form for a QFSA transformer. This poll is to authorize the purchase and installation of a 480-volt transformer and the infrastructure needed to connect the transformer to the building at the QFSA processing plant. This was sent to a poll due to the long lead time and to optimize the potential cash flow. This was approved 7-0 and was certified on 1/28/26 at 8:38 a.m. Poll number 49971. Appointment of the Connie Holding Ventures Board of Directors. This resolution is for appointing the Board of Directors to the Connie Ventures Holding Corporation. This was sent to a poll to expedite the process so that processes can move forward. This was approved 7-0 and was certified on 2/11/26 at 7:07 a.m.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and take the last two. Amend Resolution 101825-8, appoint Quapaw Casino Authority members. The poll is for amending Resolution 101825-H, the appointment of one chairperson, secretary, and treasurer, along with 2 members at large for the Quapaw Casino Authority. It would amend the appointment terms from 2 years to 1 year for the chairperson, with a term expiring in October of 2026, and 2 members at large with a term expiring in October 2026 to the Quapaw Casino Authority as required in Section 14 of the QCA Charter. This was sent to a poll because of having to approve this before approving the resolution that's being brought forward during the next meeting. It was unanimously approved and certified on February 18th, 2026 at 4:02 p.m. The last one is poll number 50270, amend resolution 101825-I, appoint DDA members. The poll is for amending resolution 101825I, the appointment of one chairperson, secretary, and treasurer, along with 2 members at large for the Downstream Development Authority. It would amend the appointment terms from 2 years to 1 year for the chairperson, with a term expiring in October of 2026, and 2 members at large with a term expiring in October 2026 to the Downstream Development Authority as required in Section 14 of the DDA Charter. This was sent to a poll because of having to approve this before approving the resolution that's being brought forward during the next meeting. It was unanimously approved and certified on February 18th, 2026 at 4:06 p.m. I move to approve the electronic polls as submitted.
Second.
Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the electronic polls as submitted, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries and the electronic polls are approved as submitted. Let's go on to new business. Secretary Valier, would you please take A?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Resolution number 022126A, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Treasurer Brian Hodge to the Quapaw Casino Authority. Whereas in Section 14 of the QCA Charter establishes membership of authority qualifications, selection, and terms of office, whereas the QCA shall consist of 5 voting members, with each member serving in one of the following positions: chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or member at large. Whereas the Business Committee wishes to reappoint Treasurer Brian Hodge to serve on the QCA. Whereas the Business Committee hereby appoints Treasurer Brian Hodge with a term expiring in February 2027 to the Quapaw Casino Authority as required in Section 14 of the QCA Charter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby appoints Treasurer Brian Hodge, subject to a successful completion of the licensing process for primary management and key employees. Therefore, be it further resolved that upon this position, the member will hereby be empowered to perform the duties and conduct business pertaining to the Quapaw Casino Authority. Madam Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 022126-A.
We have a motion to approve resolution 022126-A. Business Committee, is there any discussion? Let's go to the vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 022126-A, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Let's go ahead and get through the next 3, and then we can go through the oath of office.
Resolution number 022126-B, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Treasurer Brian Hodge to the Downstream Development Authority. Whereas Section 114 of the DDA Charter establishes membership of authority, qualifications, selection, and terms of office. Whereas the DDA shall consist of 5 voting members, each member serving in one of the following positions: chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or member at large. Whereas the Business Committee wishes to reappoint Treasurer Brian Hodge to serve on the DDA. Whereas the Business Committee hereby reappoints Treasurer Brian Hodge with a term expiring on February 27th to the Downstream Development Authority as required by Section 114 of the QCA of the DDA Charter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby reappoints Treasurer Brian Hodge subject to the successful completion of the licensing process for management, primary management, and key employees. Therefore, be it further resolved that upon this position, the member will hereby be empowered to perform the duties and conduct business pertaining to the Downstream Development Authority. Madam Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 0221-26-B.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 022126-B. Business Committee. What discussion? We need to amend this particular resolution in the last whereas statement where it refers to the Quapaw Casino Authority, and it should be corrected to be Downstream Development Authority. Did I do that right, Lloyd? Okay, thank you. Business Committee, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving 022126-B as amended, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries and the amended 022126-B is approved. Member Davis, would you please take the next two?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 022126-C, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of the Secretary Hoshi Henry to the Quapaw Casino Authority. Whereas the Quapaw Casino Authority was established by the Business Committee pursuant to and consistent with its delegated authority from the governing resolution. Whereas the Business Committee revised the QCA Charter on November 18th, 2023 by resolution number 111823-CC. Whereas Section 14 of the QCA Charter establishes membership of authority, qualifications, selection, and terms of office. Whereas the QCA shall consist of 5 voting members, with each member serving in one of the following positions: chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or member at large. Whereas the Business Committee wishes to reappoint Secretary Hoshi Henry to serve on the QCA. Whereas the Business Committee hereby reappoints Secretary Hoshi Henry with a term expiring in February 2027 to the Quapaw Casino Authority as required in Section 14 of the QCA Charter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby reappoints Secretary Hoshi Henry, subject to the successful completion of the licensing process for primary management and key employees. Therefore, be it further resolved that upon this position, the member will hereby be empowered to perform the duties and conduct business pertaining to the Quapaw Casino Authority. Madam Chair, I would so move to adopt resolution number 022126-C.
Second.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 022126-C. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-C, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion carries.
Moving forward, resolution number 022126-D, a resolution authorizing the reappointment of Secretary Hoshi Henry to the Downstream Development Authority, DDA. Whereas the Downstream Development Authority was established by the Business Committee pursuant to and consistent with its delegated authority from the governing resolution. Whereas the Business Committee revised the DDA Charter on November 18th, 2023 by resolution number 111823-BB. Whereas Section 114 of the DDA Charter establishes membership of authority, qualifications, selection, and terms of office. Whereas the DDA shall consist of 5 voting members, with each member serving in one of the following positions: chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or member at large. Whereas the Business Committee wishes to reappoint Secretary Hoshi Henry to serve on the DDA. Whereas the Business Committee hereby reappoints Secretary Hoshi Henry with a term expiring in February 27th to the Downstream Development Authority as required in Section 14 of the what should be DDA Charter. Therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby reappoints Secretary Hoshi Henry, subject to the successful completion of the licensing process for primary management and key employees. Therefore, be it further resolved that upon this position, the member will hereby be empowered to perform the duties and conduct business pertaining to the Downstream Development Authority. Madam Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 022126-D with a noted correction in the last whereas to reflect DDA versus QCA.
Second.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 022126-D, including the amendment. Business Committee, is there any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving 022126-D as amended, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries. Can we please unmute the Downstream Development Authority members are all together getting ready for the annual meeting, and we need to get them unmuted so that Secretary Treasurer Valier may give both Treasurer Brian Hodge and Secretary Hoshi Henry their oath of office.
Good morning.
Would you guys please speak? We're not sure we can hear you. Okay, so we're asking the DDA to unmute yourself on your side. And Austin, we've unmuted them on our side, correct? Okay, so now we're just waiting for the DDA to unmute based on their Zoom connection. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't hear anybody in the DDA boardroom at the current time.
Maybe if we can get Brian and Hoshi to stand up and then so everybody can see them. And just wave whenever I ask you to acknowledge. Okay. Per the charter, each officer is required to take an oath of office to faithfully and honestly perform their duties and safeguard the authority's assets for the benefit of the nation. Please raise your right hands. Do you promise to faithfully and honestly perform your duties to safeguard the authority's assets for the benefit of the nation? And instead of an audible response, just kind of wave your hand. Hoshi Henry. Brian Hodge. Congratulations to Hoshi and Brian on their new one-year terms to the Downstream Development Authority and the Quapaw Casino Authority. We greatly appreciate your service and dedication to the Quapaw Nation. Ganagay.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the pivot, the flex.
Sign language, huh?
Yeah. All right, wonderful. So, Member Gibbs Water, would you please take E as in Edward?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 022126-E. A resolution to amend Resolution 01925-D, requesting the Secretary of Interior to take a parcel of land consisting of approximately 281.98 acres, more or less, into trust for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee desires that title to the land described below, herein referred to as the property, be conveyed to the United States of America in trust for the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the requested acquisition by the United States is fully consistent with the policy goals of the federal government in using trust acquisitions to address the needs of Indian country, as contained in the provisions of 25 CFR 151.3B, which states subject to the provisions contained in the acts of Congress which authorizes land acquisitions. Land may be acquired for a tribe in trust status, 1, when the property is located within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's reservation or adjacent thereto, or within a tribal consolidation area, or 2, when the tribe already owns an interest in the land, or 3, when the Secretary determines that the acquisition of the land is necessary to facilitate tribal self-determination. Property is agricultural land within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's original reservation, and the tribe intends on no change in land use. Or be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee deems it appropriate and in the best interest of the tribe to apply to have title to property as defined herein placed into trust by the United States of America for the benefit of the tribe. The Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby requests that the Secretary of Interior, by and through his or her authorized representative, take in trust title to the above referenced property of approximately 281.98 acres, more or less, for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. Therefore, be it finally resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby authorizes the chairperson of the business committee, vice chair of the business committee, or an authorized representative of the business committee to execute and submit a fee to trust application with respect to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and to execute grant deeds and conveying title to the subject property to the United States of America to be held in trust for the Quapaw Nation. Business Committee also move to approve resolution number 02212-6-E.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-E. Business Committee, is there any discussion? Just wanted to reiterate to everybody, as Trent already described, this is on the Compton property, updating the citations. Anything else? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-E, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Member Mercer, would you please take F and G?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 022126-F. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of the public utility transfer agreement between the Quapaw Nation and the town of Quapaw. Whereas the Quapaw Nation constructed a sanitary sewer system, including a lift station and a domestic water system, Quapaw Nation wishes to transfer these infrastructure items to the town of Quapaw for ownership. And whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee wishes to authorize Wena Supernar, Chair of the Quapaw Nation Business Committee, to sign and execute the transfer agreement between the Quapaw Nation and the town of Quapaw. Therefore, be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee authorizes Chair Wiener Supernaw to sign and execute the transfer agreement between the Quapaw Nation and the town of Quapaw. Business Committee, I recommend approval of resolution number 022126-F.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-F. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving 022126-F, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The motion carries.
Next is resolution number 022126-G. This is a resolution to rescind resolution number 052122-B, Quapaw Nation Department of Public Safety Pension Plan. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee wishes to rescind resolution 052122-B that established Quapaw Nation specific pension plan that was formally approved. Therefore, be it resolved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee that resolution 052122-B has been rescinded and is effective as of the date that this resolution is approved and signed. Business Committee, I so move we adopt resolution number 022126-G.
Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving resolution 022126-G, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion carries. Member Gibbswater, would you please take H and I?
Resolution number 022126-H. A resolution to approve memorandum of agreement with the University of Oklahoma Libraries regarding access to the Doris Duke collection of Native American oral histories. Whereas the University of Oklahoma Libraries collaborated with the Quapaw Nation to assess transcripts and develop an MOA outlining public access to the Doris Duke collection of Native American oral histories. And whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee desires to approve such agreement effective immediately upon its execution by the last party to sign in the interest of protecting the nation's valuable and irreplaceable cultural and historical information and resources. And therefore be it finally resolved that the memorandum of agreement with the University of Oklahoma Libraries regarding access to the Doris Duke collection of Native American oral histories is hereby approved, and further that the chair is hereby authorized to execute and deliver such agreement on behalf of the nation. So move to approve resolution number 022126-H.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 022126-H. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving 022126-H, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The motion carries.
Resolution number 022126-I. A resolution to approve a programmatic agreement among the United States Army Corps of Engineers, St. Louis District, the Missouri State Historic Preservation Office, the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, Forest County, Potawatomi Community, Wisconsin, Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin, the Osage Nation, Peoria Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma, and Quapaw Nation regarding Merrimack River Basin Ecosystem Restoration Project, Jefferson Street, Francois, and Washington Counties, Missouri. Whereas the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, St. Louis District, is proposing an ecosystem restoration project along and within the Big River in Jefferson, St. Francois, and Washington Counties, Missouri, and whereas consultation has determined a programmatic agreement is needed to clarify review procedures, improve consistency, consultation, and accountability in fulfilling its responsibilities to comply with Section 106 of the NHPA pursuant to 36 CFR 800.14B2 during this multi-year project, and whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee desires to approve such agreement effective immediately upon its execution by the last party to sign in the interest of protecting the nation's valuable and irreplaceable cultural and historical information and resources. Therefore, be it finally resolved that this programmatic agreement among the United States Army Corps of Engineers, St. Louis District, the Missouri State Historic Preservation Office, the Advisory Council on Historic Preservation, Forest County, Potawatomi Community, Wisconsin, Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin, the Osage Nation, Peoria Tribe of Indians of Oklahoma, and Quapaw Nation regarding Merrimack River Basin Ecosystem Restoration Project, Jefferson, St. Francois, and Washington Counties, Missouri, is hereby approved, and further that the chair is hereby authorized to execute and deliver such agreement on behalf of the nation. The Business Committee also moved to approve resolution number 022126-I.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-I. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-I, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no, and the motion carries. Member Mercer, would you please take J?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 022126-J. This is a resolution to amend resolution number 101825J, requesting the Secretary of the Interior to take a parcel of land consisting of approximately 168.3 acres, more or less, into trust for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee desires that title to the land described below thereafter referred to as the property be conveyed to the United States of America in trust for the Quapaw Nation. Whereas that requested acquisition by the United States is fully consistent with the policy goals of the federal government in using trust acquisitions to address the needs of Indian country, as contained in the provisions of 25 CFR 151.3b, which states, subject to the provisions of the federal law authorizing trust land acquisitions, the Secretary may acquire land for a tribe in trust status. 1, when the land is located within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's reservation or contingency. Therefore, number 2, when the tribe already owns an interest in the land, or 3, when the Secretary determines acquisition of the land will further benefit tribal interests by establishing a tribal land base or protecting tribal homelands, protecting sacred sites or cultural resources and practices, establishing or maintaining conservation or environmental mitigation areas, consolidating land ownership, reducing checkerboarding, acquiring land lost through allotment, protecting treaty or subsistent rights, or facilitating tribal self-determination, economic development, Indian housing, or for other reasons as the Secretary determines will support tribal welfare. The property is agricultural land within the exterior boundaries of the tribe's original reservation, and the tribe intends no change in land use. Therefore, be it resolved that the Quapaw Nation Business Committee deems it appropriate and in the best interest of the tribe to apply to have title to the property as defined herein placed into trust by the United States of America for the benefit of the tribe. Therefore, be it further resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby authorizes that the Secretary of the Interior, by and through his or her authorized representative, take into trust title to the above referenced property of approximately 168.3 acres more or less for the benefit of the Quapaw Nation. Therefore, be it finally resolved, the Quapaw Nation Business Committee hereby authorizes the chairperson of the Business Committee, vice chair of the Business Committee, or an authorized representative of the Business Committee to execute, submit a fee to trust application with respect to the property to the Bureau of Indian Affairs and to execute grant deeds conveying title to the subject property to the United States of America to be held in trust for the Quapaw Nation. Madam Chair, I move to adopt resolution number 022126-J.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-J. Business Committee, is there any discussion? Please note the nature of the amendment are updated citations on the Ipsen property, as Trenton already explained. Business Committee, anything else? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-J, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no, and the motion carries. Vice Chair McKibben, would you please take K?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 022126-K is a resolution to acquire an Oklahoma LLC. Whereas the Business Committee has performed due diligence on the business and finds that the acquisition of this Oklahoma LLC would serve in the best interests of the nation. Whereas the Business Committee desires to acquire this Oklahoma LLC and all its associated business assets, including real estate, in order to strengthen the nation's economic capacity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Business Committee hereby approves the acquisition of the Oklahoma LLC by Eagle Acquisitions LLC, Limited Liability Company wholly owned by the nation, and authorizes all necessary actions, including the execution of any required asset purchase agreements, employment agreements, supporting documents, and title insurance commitment. Further resolved that this resolution may be signed in one or more counterparts, each of which shall be deemed an original, and all of which shall constitute one instrument, and a facsimile signature or electronically scanned copy of a signature shall constitute and shall be deemed to be sufficient evidence of a party's execution of this consent without necessity of further proof. Finally, resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately upon passage by the Business Committee and shall remain in effect unless amended or repealed by subsequent resolution. I move that we table this due to clarification of some documents that we are needing to have clarified.
Second.
Got a motion to table Resolution 022126-K. That is not debatable. We'll immediately proceed to the vote. Business Committee, all those in favor of tabling 022126-K, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Resolution 022126-K is therefore tabled. I will go ahead and take the next one, which is Resolution 022126-L. It's a resolution to authorize the use of trust restricted land located under the jurisdiction of the Quapaw Nation for a farming permit and to authorize the execution of the permit on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the farming permit for the use of the nation's 195/400 interest in trust restricted land by the Quapaw Cattle Company and understands the nation's interest will not be compensated through the permit as the lessee is a business entity of the Quapaw Nation. The annual rent, as stated on the permit, will be divided among individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportionate share of ownership. Therefore, be it resolved The Business Committee of the Quapaw Nation that the tribal chairperson or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to execute a farming permit to promote tribal self-determination and such other uses as may be determined, including commercial operations acceptable to the lessor. Therefore, be it further resolved that the Quapaw Nation requests the Secretary of Interior or an authorized representative approve said permit on the allotment of 920 South 179. I move to approve Resolution 022126-L.
Second.
Got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-L. Business Committee, is there any discussion? Just for greater clarity, this is actually part of the beaver allotment. That property has been remediated and the necessity is to plant cover crops at the current time. Business Committee, anything else? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-L, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. And the motion carries. Secretary Treasurer Valier, would you please take M?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 022126-M, a resolution authorizing the execution of an agricultural lease assignment on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Tribal Business Committee supports the agricultural lease assignment to the Quapaw Cattle Company for the use of the nation's restricted interest, of which a portion is subject to life use. The annual rental amount, as stated on the 5-year farming and grazing lease, will be divided amongst the individual restricted and trust landowners based on their proportionate share of ownership. Therefore, be it resolved by the Business Committee of the Quapaw Nation that the tribal chairperson of the Quapaw Nation or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to execute a lease assignment for a farming and grazing lease and to promote tribal self-determination and such other uses as may be determined, including commercial operations acceptable to the lessor. Therefore, be it further resolved that the Quapaw Nation requests that the Secretary of Interior or an authorized representative approve said lease assignment on allotment 920 SB 201. Madam Chair, I move that we adopt resolution number 022126-M.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-M. Business Committee, is there any discussion? And this is for the Ipsen and neighboring property. Okay. Anything else? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-M, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. And the motion carries. Member Davis, would you please take N?
Resolution number 022126-N, a resolution authorizing the execution of an agricultural lease assignment on behalf of the Quapaw Nation. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the agricultural lease assignment to the Quapaw Cattle Company for the use of the nation's restricted interest on the allotment of 920S11. The annual rental amount, as stated on the lease assignment, will be divided amongst the individual restricted trust landowners based on their proportionate share of beneficial ownership. Therefore, be it resolved by the Business Committee of the Quapaw Nation that the tribal chairperson or an authorized representative of the Quapaw Nation is hereby authorized to execute a lease assignment for a farming and grazing lease and to promote tribal self-determination as such other uses as may be determined, including commercial operations acceptable to the lessor. Therefore, be it further resolved that the Quapaw Nation requests that the Secretary of the Interior or an authorized representative approve said lease assignment on the allotment 920S11. Madam Chair, I would so move to adopt resolution number 022126-N.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-N. Business Committee, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-N, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. And the motion carries. Member Buffalo, would you please take O?
Resolution number 022126-O. A resolution to approve the purchase of a prefabricated building for field offices. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee is entrusted and obligated to transact the nation's business, including but not limited to the Quapaw Nation's economic development, establishing Quapaw Nation enterprises, and enacting resolution laws and policies for the best interests of the Quapaw Nation. And whereas the Quapaw Service Authority needs additional office space for ongoing and future chat remediation projects, prefabricated building will contain spacious space for 6 office meeting space, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and information technology wiring. Having solicited qualified vendors and conducted due diligence in accordance with current policy and ensuring sufficient unencumbered funds exist, now therefore be resolved that the purchase of the prefabricated building for QSA field offices is approved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee. Madam Chairman, I move to adopt resolution number 022126-0.
We've got a motion to approve Resolution 022126-0. Business Committee, is there any discussion?
The certification area needs to be amended to reflect February 21st, 2026. Yes.
Good catch. Business Committee, anything else? All those in favor of approving 022126-0 as amended, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, say no. And the motion carries for the amended version of 022126-0. Member Gibbswater, would you please take P?
Ma'am, resolution number 022126-P. A resolution authorizing the submission of a claim form for public water system settlement testing compensation through aqueous film forming foam. Products Liability Litigation, MDL 2873. Whereas the Quapaw Nation Business Committee supports the submission of any documents needed to have all public water systems within the nation's reservation tested for per and particular mineral substances through the AFFF Products Liability Litigation Settlement Program. Therefore, be it resolved by the Quapaw Nation Business Committee that this resolution authorizes the chair or vice chair to execute the appropriate forms needed to participate in the public water system settlement testing compensation program. Certification date needs to be amended as well to reflect February 21st, 2026. And Business Committee also moved to approve resolution number 022126-P.
Business Committee, is there any further discussion? All those in favor of approving Resolution 022126-P as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say no. And the motion carries. All right. We're going to take a quick 5-minute recess, and then we'll pick it right back up with donations.
not going to talk on this one. I'm on the next one too. So, yeah, my daughter Logan, she plays softball for Carl Junction Dirt Dogs. She just started playing travel softball. So this thing goes for uniforms, travel, expenses. Same thing as he does as well. So I appreciate it.
Madam Chair, I would so move to make the donation as requested of $250 for the Carl Junction Dirt Dog softball team on behalf of tribal member Logan Rollins.
I've got a motion to approve the $250 donation. Business Committee, are there any additional questions? All those in favor of approving the $250 donation, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries and the $250 donation is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Best of luck this season.
Good luck, Ben.
All right, now we're going to the Northwest Arkansas prospects. Michelle and Philip Shield. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Philip Shield, and I am 11-year-old and in the 5th grade at Wyandotte Elementary. I have the opportunity to play on a travel ball baseball team out of Arkansas and play at a more competitive level. Thank you for your time, and I am asking for your help in paying for my baseball fees. These fees were cover tournaments, facility, dues, and some camps. Thank you for your time and donation.
Excellent description. Thank you so much.
I'll make a motion to approve the requested amount of $500 for Philip Shield.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve the $500 for the Northwest Arkansas prospects for Philip Shield. Business Committee, any additional questions for Philip? All right, all those in favor of approving the $500 donation, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. And the $500 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this is the last one. Southwest Missouri Redbirds. Is it Jennifer Foster?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Foster. My husband is Parks Foster. He's a Quapaw tribal member. I'm here on behalf of the Southwest Missouri Redbirds. We're a competitive youth baseball organization made up of hardworking young athletes from right here in Quapaw. One of the players is our son, Cole. He's also a proud member of the Quapaw Nation. We are incredibly proud of him, the way he carries himself both on and off the field. Our team competes in regional tournaments throughout Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, and Texas, and this allows our players to grow not only in baseball skills, but in leadership, teamwork, and personal responsibility. Of course, there's many expenses that come along with that, and we are respectfully requesting financial support from the Quapaw Nation to help offset these expenses and support Cole as he continues to represent both the team, the Quapaw community, and the Quapaw Nation with pride. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued investment in Quapaw youth.
Madam Chair, I would so move to approve the donation requested amount of $500 for the Southwest Missouri Redbirds for the 10 and under team.
We've got a motion to approve the $500 donation. Business Committee, any additional questions for Ms. Jennifer? All those in favor of approving the $500 donation, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The $500 is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here this morning. All right, that concludes.
I just wanted to say thank you to the young gentleman that was here and coming forward, and well, the two actually. I don't know where Philip went, but I know it's hard even as an adult to speak in public, and thank you for having them come up and speak. I really appreciate that and truly wish you all the best of luck in your season.
We'll go ahead and go on to open forum. There is the rules, some of the rules still remain in place. There's a 5-minute time limit. In the event a topic requires more than 5 minutes, we'll make an offer of a closed session. One trip to the podium. Please be respectful. Please use a microphone. No one submitted open forum requests this month. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on agenda topics? Miss Virginia Mouse.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My first question is for Steva. You said that there's, sorry.
Little
Is that
adjustment
better?
required. That is better.
You said that there's a house that's being remodeled. Is it one of the new houses that were just built? Okay. I was like, we just built those. Okay. Thank you for the clarification on that. Now for my questions. The resolution 022126G that rescinded the pension plan. So what are we doing with that $5 million? Where's that going since we've rescinded this plan? It was ARPA money, as my understanding. So what are we doing with that $5 million?
The ARPA funds were originally targeted to kickstart the pension plan and then got reallocated for other permissible uses under the guidelines.
So that's never been, here we are, almost, 4 years later, and we never did anything with it?
It was never funded to the pension plan service provider.
So where did we reallocate that $5 million to?
I'll have
out of
to ask
curiosity?
Mr. Boone. I can't remember if it was used for X, Y, or Z. I don't remember.
The $5 million that was initially brought up to fund that, to kickstart that, through, over the last couple of years, basically a lot of it was reallocated to the housing project, to finish the Ray housing project. The grant covered, part of it, and then the remainder to build the additional. The grant was for 20 houses. The land was designed for 30. So there was 10 additional houses there. All the infrastructure and stuff like that was included in that. So the large majority of that $5 million went to the Ray property.
And it took us 4 years to rescind when we knew this. So administratively, how do we justify that?
There were, I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but there were 2, if not 3 rounds of repricing the pension plan under a variety of scenarios to make it more affordable as well as sustainable. And then ultimately, when we landed on a particular view of it that was sustainable, it was presented to the various employees by both Executive Director George Valier as well as CFO Eric Boone. And those terms were deemed, insufficient for those particular purposes. So it was a long time coming in after undertaking multiple repricing efforts based on more recent, I don't know what they call them, but more recent kind of evaluations of the current employment forces that would be impacted.
Thank you. So my next question, I know you guys tabled it, but the resolution 022126, did we do an independent financial study, and was this, oh, I'm sorry.
Is that K, Virginia?
K. I'm sorry. Not sure I'm being heard on here or not. Did we do an independent legal review and operational review for approving this? And can we see that? And was it brought forth by the Economic Development Department, or whatever they are, group, I guess, for lack of a better word? Or did this come about from the BC?
Remember where? Yeah, I don't think anybody can hear you, but what Vice Chair McKibben was saying, we were all together at the same time. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm not really sure. But as far as an independent evaluation, we are not done with anything at the current time. That's why it got tabled.
Okay, so my next question. On resolution 021126A, for the Connie Ventures, this was put to an electronic poll. So in our governing resolution, it says in section 1C that the chairman can call an emergency poll. So I guess my first question is, what do you determine an emergency? Because this looks like lack of planning.
So one of the reasons it was deemed an emergency for that particular one is because Connie had some prospects that were immediately before them, and if we waited another 3 weeks, those prospects might go away. It already occurred one time 2 months ago because we had not ratified the tribally chartered corporation, and that opportunity evaporated on us. So we didn't want it to happen again. That's why it was deemed an emergency, so a contact could immediately be made with those prospective business ventures.
And where can we find this charter for the Connie Ventures?
Is it not up? I'm sorry, I'm asking Brent a question. Is it not up on the tribal website? Because we can clearly do so. Happy to do that.
Okay. The next question is, you said that you appointed board members. Who are those board members?
For Connie?
Mm-hmm.
I apologize again. Brian Hodge, Alan Kaufman, Billy Schapp, Hoshi Henry, Matt Harkness, Carlton Safa, and Gus Linky.
So they're all on another board. Are they being compensated again for another board?
There will be no compensation until they get to where they're
So they will be compensated again.
possibly.
Potentially.
They may not. I mean, there's no guarantee of that. It depends on how Connie Ventures does.
So I noticed that we're appointing people to the DDA. We're appointing people, or reappointing, I guess is probably the better word, to the QCA. What happened to the Saracen Development Board? Is it being, I know that it's a subsidiary of the DDA, but we're no longer seeing resolutions for people appointed to that board. So what's happening with that board?
Never has been. Go ahead and explain. Sorry. Saracen is actually underneath downstream. So since Saracen is underneath downstream, they're run by the DDA board within the structure. There has never been a board specifically for Saracen. It's all been run underneath the Downstream Development Authority.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we were seeing when that board first started, we were seeing resolutions of appointments to that board. And that's my question. We're not seeing those now. And like I said, I do know that it's a subsidiary of the downstream board. And that's why I said, is it being absorbed there? Because there's no more resolution. So I just wanted to know and some clarification of what was happening there.
I would have to go back and do quite a bit of digging and research on that, but I do believe that it's only been underneath the Downstream Development Authority.
I know there's a common misnomer that there was something called the Saracen Development Authority that never legally existed. The name of the company is Saracen Development LLC, and it's under that LLC that both Saracen Consort and Rosino Casino as well as Mozeska rolls up. That is it is basically a wholly owned instrumentality of the Downstream Development Authority. And that's been the way it's been papered all along. I don't know why, and I don't know how that kind of SDA kind of moniker got associated, but that's definitely not how it was established from the very beginning and to this day.
Okay. My next question is on resolution 022126H, the resolution for the memorandum of agreement with OU. Can we review that MOA? How do we ensure that our stories are being told the way that they should be told and they're not somebody else's? And do they remain our stories, or like the Constitution, do they become the property of OU, the way our Constitution has become the property of Stanford?
Those stories were on the OU website a long time ago. They've been
Okay.
there since like the 70s. Well, they haven't been online since the 70s, but that's when the interviews occurred. I can remember going back through and reading stuff from Bob Whitebird and
Right.
et cetera. And so this is just to get an agreement to say it's okay to have them out there. And so they can put them back up.
So can we, as the Quapaw Indian Council, review that MOU?
Should be able to, yes.
I would think so. I think that might be all of my questions. I did some scribbling. Give me just a second. Still kind of waiting for what your definition of an emergency is. And then I think that's it.
Yeah, I'll give a couple of examples, but if people want a scripted, kind of criteria, if you will, that's no problem.
I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah. So in the case, most of them, not all obviously, but most of them have to do with the procurement of equipment, that if we don't move quickly, the equipment will no longer be available to us at that price that is viewed as economically advantageous. So that's probably the most common example, as well as like we had a couple this month that's included in the electronic polls that if we didn't get it done at that point in time, we would be unable to do something like for the Quapaw Casino, whether it was for the Able Commission, as well as there was another piece of equipment that we needed to acquire quickly, but it wasn't detected that equipment was required until it got to that point, because all that has to be approved both by the QCA as well as the BC, depending upon the dollar threshold. But we can put together some sort of a checklist, say it fits one of these, 4, 5, 6 categories.
So the other that brings me to my next question. You did an emergency phone poll for appointments to the DDA and to the QCA just 3 days ago. Previous administrations have done those amendments in this meeting and then passed the new resolutions that coincided. So why was that an emergency?
Because it's been wrong since October, and
Right.
it was just detected a couple of days before that emergency poll was done. So the QCA and DDA charters clearly state that the terms for each one
For
of
1
those
year.
individuals are for 1 year.
Yep.
The October resolutions were just downright wrong, and that's
So we
on
don't
us.
verify those resolutions before we pass them?
Obviously, we didn't do a very good job of that.
Okay. Isn't that something that our secretary would check on before submitting a resolution? Just a question.
Normally, yes, but those were things that unfortunately I missed.
I know that resolutions were
And
sent to
mistakes
me, and I
sometimes
had to
do
send them
get
back
made,
to you to
especially
get
when
them
we have a lot
corrected
of
before I
stuff
would
to go
even
over.
act on them. So it's just not a anomaly. It's clearly happened before. So just a question. Thank you very much.
You, anybody else for open forum? Oh, Miss Grace.
Thank you. I noticed in our packet, we do have a statement from the Secretary of Homeland Security. I don't know what our position is. I may have missed that. But to my mind, it's a matter of our continuing involvement with the federal government. And in connection with that, this upcoming week, there will be a conference on homegrown history, and it's sponsored by the Miami Public Library. And they're wanting to have the history of Ottawa County. We are part of that discussion. And I was pleased to see that of the week coming up, day one, indigenous roots and early settlement of Ottawa County. The first day, nations were contacted to be part of this conference. My name was submitted as far as the Quapaw, and I'm pleased to do that. But again, it's a matter of as also being part of the Wisdom Keepers about the Quapaw and our being here in this place. So again, this is a conference at the Miami Library, and it will go on all week. So again, we will be representative, and I hope, ask for your prayers that I represent us well. Okay.
I would also like to mention that our Tribal Historic Preservation Program will be in attendance at that event sometime throughout the week. I don't know the exact dates of the event, but I mean the exact day that they will be over there, but they will be representing the nation as well. So thank you, Grace.
Okay. Brenda?
I just have a question on that Oklahoma business acquisition. Can you name what the business is?
Unfortunately, we're subject to a non-disclosure agreement right now, so we are not able to share that.
Is it Carnes Pro Tire?
I can't tell you the answer to that.
Good morning, Business Committee.
Good morning, Roman.
I have a couple of questions. One, just language that we used in the tabled amendment or the tabled resolution. It appeared previously also, but it's to the effect that this resolution can be signed. Let me go back and look at this. I believe I understand what's being said here, but the verbiage in the resolution is misleading. It says, further resolved that this resolution may be signed in one or more counterparts, each of which shall be deemed an original. And then it goes on. My concern with our wording that we're choosing is this is referencing only the resolution, and I believe this is meant to refer to the supporting documents that this resolution is approving. So I just wanted to ask about that. I don't want us to get away from being able to sign resolutions remotely or independently separate from, so that the two signatures are on separate documents, because that's what this is inferring, is that you could sign it one day and somebody else could sign it on another day, and those are one and the same. So I just wanted to point that out. My other question is about the Connie Ventures. What was presented in your feedback, Chair, in December, does that still apply to the same setup? I know that was in reference to the Section 17 potential, and then we moved to the tribal charter. Does everything that you shared in December still apply to the January?
Most of it does. I'm trying to think if there are any significant deviations other than the way it's, what laws it's referencing, because it's predicated on tribally chartered corporations, and that ability was established, back in 94, 96, something along those lines. So those references have changed dramatically. The composition of the board, I think, was pretty much the same, meaning it's got to be at least 4 tribal members and no greater than 3 non-tribal members. The term stayed the same. No, I think those were modified, but we'll get the bylaws up. But for the most part, the only big thing that changed was that reference to a tribally chartered corporation. The one thing it did do that I was really happy about was instead of it being very prescriptive about what the board of directors was to do and how they were to do it, it made it a little bit more, adaptable, so that if and when the company, starts making net income, that they have to go through a process by which dividends are declared, and then they prepare recommendations on what the highest and best use of those dividends are, meaning repay debt, do you distribute back to the tribe, that's wonderful, or some other reinvest in the technology stack. It gave them far greater latitude to make those recommendations that ultimately have to be approved by the business committee. So I think that was a market improvement.
Okay, is that the 40% 2020?
All gone.
No more of that.
All gone.
Okay. Just wanted to double check on that. The last thing is concerning is about the structure. My understanding is that Connie Ventures is a holding company, meaning that it's it's not necessarily a subsidiary of the DDA or any of our gaming properties, right? It's independent.
Correct.
My
So it's an instrumentality of the Quapaw Nation.
Okay. So my concern with this instrumentality that is doing this stack for Saracen is comprised of technically the employers of the executive office from Saracen, and we're putting them as co-equals in this venture that's benefiting Saracen, benefiting the nation, but also benefiting Saracen.
I'm not sure if I completely understand your
We
point,
have
but
7 members on the board who are 4 who are DDA members, 3 who are executives from Saracen, taking actions that have largely to do with Saracen, and the DDA is technically the employer of those executives, and now they have the potential to be the bosses of the DDA members within the board because they're all on the same level now, right? Through the board, they're all co-equals, or is the DDA still over those Saracen members on the board?
yeah, in their capacity in the DDA, they're still over the Saracen Casino and Resort operators.
On this board. So inside of this operation.
No, I'm sorry. I was speaking to the construct between the Downstream Development Authority and Saracen Casino and Resort.
Okay. My issue is, and I'll leave it at this. My issue is with us making the oversight, who is the DDA, the oversight over Saracen, co-equals with the executives of Saracen on this board. And my understanding of what this holding company is, and I love the idea of the holding company. I don't want to say my idea is the who's at the top there, or my issue is with who's at the top. And we're making the oversight of Saracen co-equals with Saracen on this board to address their software that we are trying to move the IP out of Saracen into this holding company, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm not the only one that's seeing this issue. I don't know if I'm painting the issue correctly, but in my opinion, they shouldn't be equals on this board. That's it.
But they're always outnumbered, Roman.
Yeah, that doesn't say a lot. It takes one person to change the vote, right? So you change one person's vote and it goes not the tribe's way. That's all it takes. And I don't know, maybe buy that person a car or their daughter a car or something, and they're good to go. They'll change their vote for one thing, be removed from the board, and they go about their life. So it's simple to make those aggressions, I guess, inside of a system like that. And I just want to point it out. That's it.
Thank you, Roman. Anybody else? We have a hand up, Betty Gadke. Can we get a microphone to Betty, please?
Thank you. I have a question about, this was such a full agenda today. It was just killing me, just sitting here, not being able to participate on some discussion during these. And I was just wondering, is there any way that you guys can change the rules to where we can have discussion as we go along? Because, you know, mentally I said, okay, I want to talk about this and this and this, and I've already forgotten what I was going to say about them. So is there any way that, because this is a long agenda, so is there any way that we can have some kind of discussion before open forum? Because, you know, once you guys vote on these resolutions, it's a done deal. And so, you know, so it's kind of a concern of mine.
Yeah,
that's
no,
all.
I'd be happy to make a suggestion. It's not necessarily the only idea. Maybe others have ideas. So we put all the resolutions out 10 days before the meeting. In the event there are questions or clarifications that are being sought, please feel free. We're happy to. We don't necessarily have to do all of that, you know, during the business committee monthly meeting itself. But if there are questions beforehand, that was really the intended goal of that governing resolution amendment that required us to post the resolutions beforehand so that we could, you know, have those good discussions.
So when you cite the resolution and then you're going to vote on it and you have discussion, can you just include us? I mean, you asked, I know it's going to kind of eat into you guys' time a little bit, but it would make me feel more comfortable to be able to discuss something that concerns me right at the time when you're, talking about that, whatever resolution it is. And when you say, is there any discussion for the business committee, can you please add us to the discussion? Like, could we join in with our concerns?
No, well, okay, so this all goes back to, maybe we can do this. And that is, as opposed to tribal members entering into the discussion, remember, this is a monthly business committee meeting. This is
Right.
our meeting and we invite everybody to attend. Doesn't mean that everybody can enter into the debate and the discussion. But what we could do is switch things around so that maybe I'm just making it up here. This is riff, and they're all gonna, throw daggers at me. But maybe we have that Q&A session before the business committee is actually able to, make the motion, get it seconded. We have our discussion after taking in input earlier. It's just an idea, Betty. I understand what you're trying to get at.
I like that.
We just need to.
I mean, it's more than what we have. So I just want to be able to join in, and I know there's other people that want to join in the discussions, and and I'm appreciative that you guys are doing the director reports again. I feel like today when I leave here, I have more knowledge about what's going on within our nation, because of these director reports. So I'm very appreciative of that. I hate to keep asking for more, but we want more.
Anybody else?
Well, wait, I got one more thing to say.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't realize.
No, it's okay. So we're having, the Wisdom Keepers are doing a trip, and I got an invitation in the mail, and immediately I was excited about going. And so it was RSVP, and I called immediately, same day, as soon as I got to the house, and I'm signed up to go on the trip. However, I told her that, I live two and a half hours from here, so I said I don't need to drive 2.5 hours to get on the bus with everybody, to drive an hour and a half back to Springfield, and then drive an hour and a half back here, and then drive home 2.5 hours. So I asked if it was okay to meet the elders on the Wisdom Keeper trip in Springfield, and Melanie thought it was a good idea that, I could do that. So that was my plan for Steve and I. So I talked to him last night on the phone, and I've been here all week. So he told me that we got a form in the mail to fill out, which, they did do that the last time I went on a trip. However, I got my invitation 2 weeks ago, and when I RSVP, they didn't say anything about filling out this form to be able to go. And now they want it back on Wednesday, and I'm not even going home till Monday. And there's no way I can get to a doctor and get this form filled out. So because I'm not taking the bus, do we have to fill out that form? Or do I just give up the 2 chairs in Springfield?
Well, no, I was wondering if the form might be available here, locally, since you're here.
Well, it's the problem's not getting the form. The problem's getting the form to my doctor now because they want it back on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
So I have basically one day, Tuesday, and I'm not going to be able to pull that off.
Grace has a response for you.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
The Wisdom Keepers are the Wisdom Keepers are the ones who are setting up the various events and things for the elders. And this was one thing that we had planned on, was a day trip. We've gone on day trips before. We had, there was no problem with a day trip going. And so then after our information went out to everybody, then we were contacted. We had to have forms, registration forms, all of this. And this was after we had sent out information. We had no knowledge of that. But apparently that was coming from business committee. They said you had to have these forms. Okay, so then we went around and got the forms and got back to people about making the trip. But it's the sort of thing, again, these things are happening without our knowledge.
I want to clarify something right now. That is misinformation. I personally did not require a form for you all for this trip. So I don't know where you're getting that information, that it would come from the business committee, but I can personally attest to it right now, Grace, that is misinformation. I did not say that trip had to have a form. So if someone is saying that the business committee, and I can only speak for myself and the rest of the remaining 6, they're welcome to speak up, but I will not have people continually saying the business committee. That was not the business committee. This person on this current business committee did not say that.
So in that sense, again, we got information that we had to have these forms completed before we could go on the trip, type of thing. And that's why I said with my remarks and my report, if you need help filling out these forms that are required, then we can help you with the forms, because a lot of our people don't really go online or do these various things. So that's why we were wanting to try to help them if necessary.
Can you please, are you comfortable to disclose who said the business committee?
Can we have point of order while Ms. Grace is speaking?
It's a sort of thing, again, we were given these forms by the events coordinator. Melanie is the one who has been, and where she got these forms, how she got them, I don't know, but she sent them out to us. And in that sense, trips before we've had to furnish forms, and that's fine, because that's coming from the Quapaw. And so we were surprised, again, a day trip.
Can you get a?
What our problem is that this is only a day trip, and I know they're sending an EMT with us, but I think people could carry their own information without having doctor signs, and I mean, we're adults, and this came out late. We've got more people meeting us there that live over in Missouri or somewhere, Arkansas or something closer. We've had several people say, well, they wanted to drive themselves. My husband's driving himself. He doesn't want to ride in the bus. And so there's quite a few of them that are meeting us there. And
do you know if the form is required exclusively for those who plan to take the bus transportation?
They told us it was anybody meeting us there. And that's what Melanie was told.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Thank you, John. Hopefully we can clarify it. I'm sure it's a matter of ensuring that, if I'm making it up. I don't know if this is true because we're all kind of caught unaware of this. If the bus is being contracted on behalf of the Quapaw Nation, we want to make sure that everybody, better safe than sorry, we want to make sure that everybody's emergency contact information is available, that the liability waivers are in place, because, it's a hired transportation, a hired driver, those kinds of things. We just want everybody to be safe and sound. So
I agree with that, Weena. But the problem for me is, I'm not even home yet. Steve had to tell me that the email came in yesterday, so he told me last night. But my issue is that I can't get that form filled out by a doctor and get it back to you guys by Wednesday now, because you didn't give me enough. Somebody didn't give me enough time, to deal with that. And I got the invitation 2 weeks ago, and had they had said something, I would have definitely went and got the form filled out. So I'm either going to have to not have the form, or I'm just going to have to give the 2 tickets back because I can't get it done now. So I'm going home Monday morning from Bella Vista. I'm not going to be in the vicinity Monday morning to go to the clinic. And I've been here all week. So, I just, apparently I can't get it done now. So, and we have done it in the past. I realize, when we go and stay overnight, we take these trips, they definitely make us fill out this form, and we definitely have to go to the doctor, and all that. So had they told me, I would have been able to accomplish it. That's all I'm saying. So.
Susan?
In the past, when we went on trips, they said that the actual paperwork saying we're going on the trip had to be turned in by that date, but the doctor's forms they would let us turn in later.
Like as you're getting on the transportation.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. Thank you. Anybody else? We've got one more. Vicky? Johnny?
Vicky Bratton. I was told by the PA up there at the clinic at downstream that it was definitely overkill on the business committee's part to have her fill out all those forms, which she did, no problem, but still yet she said it's overkill.
And that was at the downstream clinic, the physician's assistant? Okay.
There's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people talking.
All right.
I think where the misinformation came in, Melanie messaged back. Barry said that all the forms needed to be completed, that he had got the forms from Debbie Ray, the whole packet, and it just, conferred with you guys, I guess, that these forms need to be filled out, and so Melanie had them filled out.
Again, I would like to reiterate, this business committee did not say anything about the forms, and I'm confident that Debbie did not say anything about forms other than merely sent over a folder, and this is what we have.
No,
So
I'm just telling you what the text message said. I don't really know anything about it, but.
Okay. Member. It sounds like that's what they did, was use the same forms that were previously utilized.
Yeah.
It's the medical. It's sit down with the physician to get that. Day of the trip.
Might I make a suggestion for your day trip? I agree with Linda Davis. I haven't had any kind of conversations about anything to do with trips at all, and especially not since July 4th when that motion carried for a budget and a clear working route with the events coordinator. So, General Counsel said that and approved that vote. So for me and my part of it, I just politely backed out and just quit having conversations and just relied on you all to, take care of it just how you want to do it, how you see fit, things like that. But just a easy suggestion to fix some problems in the future, just kind of like how we're going through right now. Sit down amongst the O-Guah-Pah Wisdom Keepers and the events coordinator and work out what kind of forms best suit both multi-day trips and day trip. I think that's, considering that motion from General Counsel, I think that's more in your guys' wheelhouse to see to. I just want to make clear to the point of those charters and their insurance and their liability. Just think about them too, because they're the ones transporting everybody. Not everyone's always going to be able to meet people at the location. So I just want to say that much on that.
Anybody else? Member Gibbswater, would you please close us out in prayer, sir?
Wakanda, Ezekiel. When I said all gonna hear what they call me. Father God, Savior Jesus Christ, old spirits roaming around this hall and our grounds over here, and this grandpa sun over the top looking down at us here today. Coming to you grateful here for this day of life that we can be upright on this side together to come over here and take care of our nation business here. Ask that you continue to look at us, that you continue to overlook us and bless us here as we go forward down this road of life here on behalf of our own Quapaw people here. And Father God, that all the things that we do, it can bring nothing but a good progressive fellowship together here, Father God, that all those things that surround us here in this daily life amongst our own individuals, amongst our nation here, all those things in the dark, those unseen elements here, Father God, can be cleared up here, be nothing but good for us. Thankful here that we can come to you here, Father, asking that you look at each one of us here, you bless us here in our life here as we make our way home, that you can find our home in a better place than how we left it here, Father God. All of our O-gah-pah, wherever they're at here today, from the oldest to the youngest, whatever way they are here, Father God, you can make it good for them. Let them stand up, feel good here today. Maybe if some of them are sick here, let them stand up, feel good here today. Let them go on here, kick that sickness here about them here, Father God. Maybe it's got some folks doing real good. Make it even better for them. Make our path here better than how we expect, how we work for it here, Father God. You know how we need it, how we want it. You know just how it is here for us here. I'm not trying to say or do anything but before you, God, just trying to say and act on behalf of my own folks here the best way that I can here through the ways that we're given all the way down from those old days to now here, Father God. Just asking that you carry us along here. You sanction the things that we do. You overlook us here where we fall short for being just pitiful little people that we are here. Just want to thank you. Be thankful to you. Maybe if I said too much or not enough, if I didn't say something just right, fix it for me here, Father God. All those things here. We sure appreciate you, sure love you. I'm grateful for you, grateful to you here for being a good, kind father and friend to us. Carry us along here. I'll say that much to you. Amen. Yeah, Shanna.
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say no.
Every time I hear, I make
12:06 Sprint.